Hey everybody, welcome back to the lab. So today I want to talk about black and white images. Now, I'm not going to talk in depth about how to convert them because there's tens of thousands of different ways out there, and there's people that will argue that this is the best and that's the best, and I don't want to get into all that, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because we could spend video after video down there doing this and talking about this and why is this better and what's this. I want to talk in this video specifically about, well, first of all, how I do black and white images and why. And then second of all, things to look for when you are converting your images to black and white and the different things that you can do to make your images look, well, different. Not necessarily better, just different. So let's start with, how do I take black and white images? Well, it's pretty simple. I don't. I take color images and I convert them to black and white. Now, people are going to go, oh no, horrors of horrors, he does that. Again, this is how I do it. This is how I find that it works. And it's something that I've done for years, well, since digital started. And one of the big reasons that I don't like shooting in black and white is because I have to remember to take it back off of black and white. And also, on a number of cameras that I've had, I haven't liked the black and white settings on the camera. Whereas if I shoot in color, I'm able to then convert the file to black and white and make it look like how I want it. And it saves me having to go, oh, I wish I would have shot that one in color. I can go and shoot when I was doing weddings. I can shoot the entire wedding, go through and pick up 15, 20 images out of it and convert them to black and white. And they look amazing. I don't have to worry that I didn't shoot that one in color or I shot that one in black and white and they wanted it. I don't have to worry about that. Not like the film days when I used to have two separate rolls of film going and two different camera bodies or different backs if it was medium format. And I had to worry about all that sort of stuff. Well, with digital, I don't have to. With digital, I can just go ahead and shoot and then worry about it afterwards. And so many times, even in shooting my nature and my wildlife, I would shoot a picture in black and white and I go, oh, I wish I'd shot that one in color. So I just shoot in color. Then when I come back, I do the processing afterwards. And how do I do it? And again, this is one of, like I said, probably tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of different ways. And I'm not saying it's the best. I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm saying it's how I do it and how I find that it works. I bring up the file in my editing program. I then will add a desaturation layer to it. So I remove all the color. I will then go in and correct either by using levels or by using the curves and adjust from there. So I'm getting the type of contrast that I'm looking for. I also, when I do my black and white, I add a little bit more sharpness than what I would normally have in a color image. Because I think, and over the years of shooting black and white film, I've always liked the little bit of a sharper look that black and white film gave me over what color film seemed to give. So that's how I do it. Now, here's some things to think about when you are adjusting your images. I've already talked about the first one. I think, and in my opinion, it looks better if a black and white image has a little bit more sharpness to it. Now, I'm not talking about an archival black and white image over sharpening it so that it looks funny. I'm talking about a modern day black and white image, sharpening it so it has a bit more sharpness to it than what it would have normally had if I had just shot it in color, converted it to black and white, and was done. So a little bit of sharpness, not a ton. And then when you're adjusting your black and white images, there's two things to think about, or two ways that you can do it. The first is a lot of people like to go with the really contrasty, with the blacks and the whites, and they blow out the grayscale in the middle. So they make it so it looks really contrasty, really in your face. And there's nothing wrong with that, please understand. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but that's one way of doing it. Other people in the other side of the things like to convert it to black and white, add just a little bit of punch to the black, a little bit more punch to the white, and still leave the grayscale in the middle. Now, both ways have benefits. Both ways have different looks, obviously, and they bring up different things. I find, to me, a black and white image that doesn't have a lot of information in the grayscale looks better when you bump it up really contrasty. But a black and white image that has a lot of detail within the gray area, I like to maintain it. In this image, it's a picture of Writing on Stone Provincial Park here in Alberta, Canada. I shot it in color. Then I went through and I converted it to black and white. Now, my preference of this one is the less contrasty version. Why? Because on the rocks that I have, I like the detail on it. I like to see the grain to it. I like to see the holes in the rock. I like to see the shadows. And if I bump it up to the more contrasty version, you tend to lose that definition, that look, and it just becomes more, in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion, it becomes more of an art print than a nature print. Now again, either way is fine. You can do it either way, but just when you're correcting it, understand that those are the different looks that you can end up with. Now, there's in between as well. The biggest thing, and this is a big thing, is, like I've said in past videos, like I'll say in future videos, when you adjust an image, know what your lab's going to be printing it on. If you print it on a contrasty paper, like a metallic paper, you will lose a lot of the midtones when you print it on that paper. If you print it on a luster paper or a matte paper, it will show a lot more midtones. So understand when you're adjusting it, what you're adjusting it for, what paper you're adjusting it for, what the look is, the overall printed look is, and adjust from there. Hopefully you have a good lab. Hopefully that you know what they print in the different media that they print on, and you can select the media to complement it. The more contrasty pictures, I think, look better on the metallic and the glossy. The less contrasty, you can get away with glossy. It doesn't look bad, but to me, the less contrasty, I like on a flatter paper. I like on something like a luster paper, a semi-matte paper, which is pretty much the same thing as luster, or a matte paper. I think that the mid-tones just grab it a little bit better. Yes, it looks good on the glossy. Yes, you can see some of the mid-tones, but I find that you see a lot more of it on the more subtler papers. Another thing with papers when you're choosing them, some papers have a much whiter base than other papers. So understand, if you're doing a black and white image, make sure you're printing it on a black and white paper, not a paper that has a really cream base to it, unless that's what you want. Because even though they're printing it in black and white, you print it on a paper with a creamy base, and you're not going to get those rich white looks to your image, whether it's contrasty or whether it's not contrasty. One other thing, I always tell people this, and again, people tend to ignore things I say. As long as you're working with a colored, balanced monitor where it's the correct colors, and you should be, if you're serious about photography, spend the $200 to $300, $400 if you're in Canada, probably less in the US, to get yourself a calibration system. But before you send it to the lab, add just a little bit more lightness to your image, and it'll make it look just a little bit better when printed. Because we're viewing on monitors that are they're backlit, they're brighter, and even when you adjust it correctly, which all mine are corrected to the exact setting of what the calibration system says, I find just a touch lighter, usually in the mid-tones, makes the images look truer to what the monitor is. So I hope that helps. I hope you get out there and play around with making some images black and white. I know it's a fun thing to do, especially this time of year when it's snowy here in southern Alberta, when everything's brown and gray and there's mud and it just doesn't look really colorful. I find that shooting in black or making black and white images can take a scene from being to wow, that's really nice. So until next time, have a great day. Get out there and take some pictures. Enjoy yourself, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.